Hey guys, this is Holy Hand Grenade, and in today's video I'll be showing you advanced air tactics for helicopters and jets in Battlefield 3. Over the next few minutes I will cover several different techniques that pilots with advanced flight experience can implement into their gameplay. These tips and tricks are for those comfortable with their abilities in piloting the aerial vehicles of Battlefield 3. Whether fighting for the sky or evading an anti-air missile, these tips should help you always end up on top. To start things off, I will cover jets. While in the control of an experienced player, the various jets found in Battlefield 3 have no issue in ruling the skies. When flown properly, jets have few weaknesses, but even the best of pilots seem to struggle in staying in the air without the help of IR flares. Although escaping heat-seeking missiles without the unlockable flares is extremely hard to do, it isn't impossible. The first thing that is any pilot's friend in this kind of situation is a thing called line of sight. Line of sight, or LOS for short, is a term that basically refers to whether or not an object, in this case a missile, has obstructed vision on your jet. The easiest way to achieve LOS on a heat seeker is by flying as low to the ground as possible. The terrain will remove the aspect of open air and add more obstacles for the missile to intersect with while on its way towards your jet. If simply flying low doesn't seem to help, try and add sharp banks around trees, buildings, or antenna that may help obstruct the missile's path. If you're being pursued by a jet, your low altitude will also make it extremely difficult for the enemy jet to have enough time to lock onto your heat signature. Flying low to the ground is never an easy thing to do and should always be done only when necessary. Aside from flying extremely low to the ground, there are only a few other, slightly more difficult options to successfully pull off a missile evasion. The first one is to try and fly towards or past your pursuer. Another, more unlikely tactic is to outrange the missile. If the missile was fired by an enemy at a great distance, simply flying as far away as fast as possible nets you a small chance of getting away unscathed. Remember, your jet can't go faster than a heat seeker, but if timed correctly you will have some time to get as far away as possible. The difficulty of dodging heat seekers rises exponentially while in a helicopter. Without flares, it takes a truly skilled pilot to complete the maneuvers necessary to dodge any anti-air. Just as jets, helicopters can find some shelter from anti-air closer to the ground. Flying into a patch of trees or dipping behind a rock or building is a relatively easy way to null any heat seeker chasing you. Unlike jets on the other hand, helicopters can complete these maneuvers more precisely. As a warning, this method does not guarantee safety, and being low to the ground in a hovering chopper appears as a free kill to any competent engineer or tank gunner. Another method helicopter pilots can implement is the straight-on dodge. This method is extremely difficult to pull off and should only be used by those extremely comfortable with using a chopper. In this tactic, you should move head-on into the incoming missile and roll your helicopter sharply and angle your chopper forward so as to do a very fast and unstable dodging movement. If done properly, it should appear as though your helicopter is doing a scooping motion in the air. My next advanced air combat tip deals with repairing. Before I proceed, I would like to strongly recommend that any pilot should be using the engineer class with the torch equipped. If you find yourself in a burning helicopter, it is imperative that you get to the ground as quick as possible. Landing a chopper after being heavily damaged should also be done with extreme care. Doing this is a method most must practice several times before having no issue with landing. My recommendation for controlling any air vehicle on fire, whether it be a jet or helicopter, is to overcompensate your movements. By overcompensating the lack of rudder control, landing or bailing becomes much less of a hassle. In a helicopter, you should specifically watch your yaw when landing already damaged. Going back to repairing. As soon as you've safely landed, preferably as far away from the action as possible, you should jump out and repair as fast as possible. Having a squad mate as an engineer with you is always an invaluable asset. When jumping back in to take off again, be mindful that a burning helicopter landing can draw lots of attention. Be prepared to begin defensive maneuvers immediately. If you are in a damaged jet, it is still possible to land, but it's one of the most difficult maneuvers to accomplish. If the damage is only moderate, you can always land your jet, repair, and take off again. When landing in a jet, always keep in mind enemy position and whether or not you will have enough room to take off again. More often than not, it is smarter to simply try and glide to a safe position and then bail from your jet and parachute to safety. Although not what most ace pilots would like to do, consider it one less death and an opportunity to support your troops fighting on the ground. These are also some tips that, if implemented correctly, should help you in air domination. First, a key thing to remember when in a jet being chased by another jet is to try and get as close to them as possible while remaining away from the nose of their jet. Barrel rolls won't help you accomplish this, so performing a huge loop with afterburners on should allow you to either move behind the enemy or close the distance between them. Second, while in a helicopter, if you find yourself engaged in a dogfight with a jet, you should try and strafe alongside the path of the jet. Never ever hover in one spot. This will drastically increase your chances of being downed. Lead your target using the strafe movement, and whether using missiles or chain guns, you should net yourself a kill. And as always, remember, although jets have speed over your helicopter, you have aim stability and quicker vertical movement. Also, if you find yourself under fire from an anti-air ground soldier, I suggest following the smoke trail of the munition back to its source. And as a small word of advice, I recommend teaming up with other engineers while in a chopper. Having passengers inside your chopper that can repair mid-air turns your chopper from a vulnerable target into an airborne tank. In addition, a gunner who has also unlocked flares gives you twice the longevity while high in the sky. Thank you for watching this Battlefield 3 Advanced Air Combat Tactics guide. I hope these tips will aid you in all of your aerial conquests.